Ever tell a story about your past? Like
Oh,
something you know happened a certain way?
and maybe someone who was there, they're like, no way, that's not how it went down.
Oh, yeah, all the time.
All right. Makes you wonder, who's misremembering what?
Happens to the best of us.
It's one of those weird things about memory, but what if, and this is where things get really interesting, what if it's not just forgetfulness, what if our brains are actually capable of changing the past?
Okay, now you've got my attention.
That's the mind-bending possibility we're diving into today, and let me tell you, this source material is next level. Quantum physics, neuroscience, a little bit of philosophy, it's got it all.
Sounds like we're going deep.
Oh, we're going deep, all right. So buckle up. The basic idea here, and it's a wild one, is that our brains might be way more powerful than we ever imagined, like influencing the past level powerful.
Okay, I'm trying to wrap my head around this influencing the past. How?
That's the million-dollar question, right? The source keeps mentioning this quantum brain idea. They even bring up Wheeler's delayed choice experiment. You familiar with that one?
Yeah, it's a classic quantum mechanics thought experiment, right?
Yeah.
Basically, it messes with the idea of whether a particle chooses its state in the past or present.
Exactly. And the source for this deep dive is suggesting something similar might be happening with our brains and memories. It's like our thoughts could be influencing the probability of past events. Almost like rewinding and editing a film after it's already been shot.
Hold on, hold on. So instead of just remembering the past, our brains are hitting save as on a new version every time we think about it.
That's the gist, yeah. They explain it in terms of our brains acting like these super sophisticated prediction machines, like we're constantly analyzing past information to make predictions about the future.
Right, which makes sense. Our brains are pattern recognition machines.
Exactly. And that's where memory comes in. Every time you recall a memory, you're strengthening the connections in your brain associated with that specific version of events. But the source takes it a step further. They're saying this process might actually be influencing the probability of that version of the past having happened in the first place.
Wait, so it's not just about accessing a fixed memory.
Right.
We're talking about actually influencing which version of the past happened.
That's what they're suggesting, yeah. Like, think of it as giving a thumbs up to a certain version of the past, making it more likely to have happened that way.
Wow. Okay, so if our brains are potentially reshaping our past all the time, what does that mean for our understanding of, well, everything, like logic, cause and effect?
Right. It kind of throws a wrench into those things, doesn't it? I mean, we tend to think of time as this linear progression, A leads to B leads to C. But this source is proposing that it might not be so straightforward.
Because if our brains are reaching back and influencing the past, then cause and effect get all tangled up.
Exactly. And that's where things get really interesting. The source even suggests that logic itself, the way we make sense of the world, might be a side effect of how we perceive time. Like, it's our brain's way of creating order out of what could be a much messier reality.
So our brains are basically trying to impose a narrative on reality, even if reality isn't actually that neat and tidy.
That's the idea. It's like we're hardwired to see things in a linear way, even if time itself might be more fluid than we can fully grasp.
And that raises a whole bunch of other questions, like, what does this mean for things like free will? If our brains can influence the past, does that mean our choices are predetermined?
I know, right? And what about things like premonitions or déjà vu? Could those be glimpses of our brains interacting with the past in ways we don't fully understand?
It really makes you question everything you thought you knew about time and reality.
It really does. And that's kind of the point of this deep dive, right?
Yeah.
To explore these mind-blowing possibilities and maybe, just maybe, start to see the world a little differently.
Even if it means questioning everything we thought was true about time and memory.
Especially if it means questioning everything. Because who knows, maybe the most important discoveries happen when we're brave enough to consider the impossible.
Maybe our brains have a few more tricks up their sleeves than we ever imagined.
I like the way you think. All right, folks. That's a wrap for today's deep dive. We'll see you next time for another exploration of the mind-bending and the thought-provoking.
See you then.